Well. Welcome back to, gosh, I need to actually look this up. Is it like the 15th edition to this podcast? I should probably figure that out before I actually start this, but maybe that adds to the charm of doing this. It is the 15th. Woo! Actually, is it? Yes. It is the 15th edition of this podcast. And yeah, that is like, I'm going to be honest, that is like a big achievement for me. Because that means I've had 15 different sessions here where I've just been able to talk. Mostly with myself, but initially it was with friends. I remember this project started out as something that me and my friend back in high school, a kid named Cody, we were just talking one day about various different topics, and we were just blabbering on for like 2-3 hours. It felt like I remember I had to charge my AirPods multiple times in order to be able to keep the conversation, to ears that were only supposed to hear it. And I was like, we should definitely start a podcast. And he was like, you know what? That's a grand idea. And you know what? We didn't start a podcast. That's actually the funny thing. We never started a podcast until like 6 months later when I suggested it to him. And, he was a bit apprehensive about it. And obviously I'm not the best podcast master because I don't know topics to bring up. Like these solo podcasts I do, the only reason why I do this is because I have a topic to talk about. And that's the only reason why I'm able to even talk for more than 2 minutes, rather than me talking with all those people back in high school, back when I used to do this on a regular basis. And we did them fairly often, but they were often boring because we were just blabbering on about stuff. And sometimes we got off, sometimes is an understatement. We got off topic a lot of times because I couldn't keep a story together. And I was sort of relying on people taking initiative and creating podcast material through just everyday banter. And, that wasn't a very viable source. I understood that. I'm not boasting that I have the best podcast known to man. But it's just, it's nice to hear yourself every now and then. I think, this might be very embarrassing to talk about, but one thing I do like sometimes is, it sounds very selfish, but sometimes I just like to turn on one of these podcasts, and it's like opening up a time capsule, like something that you've stuffed a whole bunch of newspapers down a plastic tube, shoved it into the middle of the earth, and you told yourself, I'm not going to open this until 50 years from now. And 50 years from then, you open up the plastic tube and you pull out the newspapers. Those newspapers back then, all those ideas that were being broadcasted, all the predictions, all the memories, they seemed very relevant to you. But when you open up that tube 50 years later, it seems like it seems complete gibberish. It's all rubbish. And that's what I think of myself when I look back on how I acted in these podcasts, and especially the ones that I did by myself, because it reminds me of how much I've grown positively as a person. I don't even know how to even put it into words, really. When I started making this podcast, I did it out of happiness. I was in a really high point in my life, and then very quickly that happiness was taken away. Very quickly. I'm not here to rant about the ins and outs of why exactly I became so unhappy, but it ended up teaching me a lot about stuff in my life. And what exactly I wanted to do. Because during that time where I was very happy, I let life go on autopilot. I said, hey, the Lord up above, I don't know, could be some man in some toga, or it could be a spaghetti strainer. Some sky-bound entity, deity, you could even say. I was like, Take me wherever you want, because it was completely new to me. Completely new to me. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was just going with the flow. And I was like, it was just surprise after surprise after surprise after surprise. And it just kept on giving. And I think I kind of enjoyed that. The fact that I didn't know what I was doing. And that I was clueless half the time. That I woke up every single day wondering what's going to happen next. Like, my life felt like a TV show. Not like I was the main character, but it felt like every day was another episode that you spent a previous day anticipating. Like, when you watch The Mandalorian, a new episode releases every Wednesday. And after you finish the last episode last Wednesday, you have to wait a whole week in order to find out what happens next in the next installation of The Mandalorian. And you wait until Wednesday, and then boom, Wednesday hits, and then you have the satisfaction of learning about what happens next, and then the cycle just repeats. That was often what my life was like. My life was like, it was wake up and hoping something different happened every day. And something did. Something did happen. Did differently happen every day. And I loved that. Because it brought me out of the boring, stale life I had previously, where I thought I could be independent and where I thought I didn't need anyone else in my life. And that changed very quickly. But then I grew complacent. I said to myself, there is going to be a new episode of Mandalorian every week. Every week from now until the end of time. But guess what? Last week, The Mandalorian had its final episode for season 3. And then now you're just looking at Wednesday, and then you're like, well, what happens now? You don't know what happens after it's gone. You don't know what happens after the unpredictable becomes predictable. And that's what happened. I got too complacent, and I wasn't ready for the transition to where I couldn't be different every day, where some things had to be the same. And that was often, like, again, the word I used to describe myself was complacent. And often I thought that was a virtue. But then complacency, I learned, was quite the opposite. It was quite a burden on me. Mentally, very burdening. And I think I hurt a lot of people doing that. I hurt a lot of people. And I felt like me leaving that entire environment would not only help myself figure out what exactly I wanted to do with myself in order to not be complacent, in order to find something new to do, and it was healthier for those people who didn't have to deal with me being complacent, I guess, for lack of a better word. So that's why I moved down here to South Carolina. They can live up there and live their own life, and I can live my entirely separate life down here. Now, I mean, I get worried every now and then about them bringing up me and side conversations up there. And often, in the beginning, like in the fall semester, I found that quite insulting. Because even though I wasn't directly involved in any other lives, I was still brought up as a dinner time conversation. How can I have little effect of anything that they do up there and have pretty much almost dropped everything to be down here and away from all that? Yet they still have a reason to complain about me, even though I'm not even there. And I first found that insulting. That even though I didn't do anything, they still found a reason to still hate me. And to still put things, oh yeah, that's on Jared, or I was still blamed for things that I did, and I have no control over down here. Because I can't control anything while I'm down here. That's on autopilot. I don't even know what happens half the time back in New York now that I'm down here. Like, there has been so much stuff that has happened that I'm just unaware of. And that's good. That's great. I don't need to know everything. I don't want to know everything about what happens up there. But as of late, I realized that them talking about me is actually, quite a compliment. It means I'm living in their head pretty much rent free. Like, I don't need to do anything, yet I still exist in their minds and they still talk about me, even though I'm not doing anything. Absolutely nothing, yet they still talk about me. And I think that speaks louder than anything. It may not be good attention, it may not be entirely bad attention, but it's attention nonetheless. And I guess, needless to say, that I made an impact on my community. Whether that impact was good or bad, I made an impact regardless, and they still talk about that. And I just sit back here and be like, talk about it all you want. Complain all you want. You guys are still talking about me, and I haven't done anything. So who's the one that's really, having the issues here? How can you, riddle me this. How can you complain about something, about someone who hasn't even done anything and who is not even directly involved in any of your lives anymore? Who's really the one that's, at fault there? It's not me. It's not me. I'm just living in your lives rent-free. And that's you, not on me. You solve that issue. I had nothing to do with it. But what I did do recently is, as a joke, keyword, as a joke, I ended up getting a Tinder profile, right? And what the funniest thing is, the one thing I realized that as I got that was damn, excuse my language, I have a type. As of making this video, I have not been in a single relationship, nor have I won't go into detail on that, but I haven't been in a single relationship. And the 4 people who I have quote unquote liked as of recently, 3 of them don't talk to me. 3 of them don't talk to me. And one of them, I had a very complicated relationship with. And, the good thing is that, we're adults now. We can have mature conversations. And what makes this person different than the rest of them is because we're mature enough to say, yep, we were kids. We were kids. We're grown-ups now. We're adults. We're mature. Who cares about what happened? What matters is that we got together, we made up, we apologized, and we moved on. It's so simple. It's so simple. I hate to use a patriarchal term, but it's just being a man, and it's just setting yourself. It's just being the bigger person, I guess, is a more gender neutral way of saying it, and a very, very non-toxic way of putting it. But it's being the bigger person, being like, yep, I messed up. I understand that. And let's move forward. And that's what me and that one person did. And, out of all 4 of them, there's only one that I still talk to and that I still have positive thoughts about. But they're not really similar other than the fact that they were all white. I looked and I was like, there's nothing real. For some people, when it comes to dating, you could be like, oh yeah, they like black women, or oh, they like people with curly hair, or they're really into blondes for some odd reason, or maybe it's the eyes, they're really into blue eyes, or gray eyes, or something like green eyes, or oh yeah, that guy likes gingers, loves gingers. I mean, so do I, but we'll let fate decide that one. But what I realized on there, it's like, dang, maybe I do have a type. And as I started, again, this is very much a joke. I'm not looking for like any serious relationship in here. It's more like if I do match with someone, it's like, oh, huh, that happened. And we, just laugh and, go get on with their lives. Not a really big fan of dating platforms, but it helps you build relationships. And I guess networking is really a big thing at the end of the day. Anyways, what ended up inspiring me to come down here and talk to y'all is body language. Body language pays dividends. What I mean by that, when I've been looking at girls on their Tinder profile, I feel like I can know everything about them by the way they dress, the way they act, the way they type, the way they present themselves, and most importantly, actually the way they dress is another thing. I don't know if I already said that, but most importantly, I can tell everything about a person, or at least get a really, really, really good assumption of them by their face. Their face is a digital and physical, well, in this case it's a digital, but if you're in person, it's a physical footprint of what you can really understand about a person. Like kind eyes, lovable smile, fair skin, nice hair, has good jawline, good eyebrows, the forehead looks nice, or the hair color. I think I just named 7. I don't know if I counted correctly. I think I just named 7 details you can understand about a person. More in just less than 1/3 of the figure. The other 2/3, what can you really say about the other 2/3? I mean, maybe for the legs, you're like, oh, nice feet. That's a weird thing to say. Or it's like, oh yeah, your calves are nice, or your thighs are nice. That's 3. That is 3 things that you can ask about the lower body. That's like waist and below. And then for for like your torso area, from your hips to your head or to your neck, you'd be like, nice chest, good arms, nice fingers, nice abs. Like, there is something about the face that gives you more identifying features than 2/3 of your body. I want to say over 50% of the identifying features lie in less than 1/3 of your body. Maybe that's why Apple decides, or I think a lot of companies decide to use facial recognition, because everybody is different in the face. But another thing I realized is I think I might have a thing for nice smiles. I think nice smiles speak louder than anything else in the world. Like, you could be an absolute 10 out of 10, but if you have a terrible smile, you will be an automatic 0. I kid you not. That is how much a smile means to people. I mean, maybe it's because I'm American, and Americans place a lot of attention on smile more than other countries in the world. That's why most people here in the US pay to, if they have crooked teeth, they pay orthodontists to get braces, and they'll fix them. They get Invisalign and fix them. Why do you think Britain gets so trashed on? It's because it's not a focus for British people or people of Europe or people of Asia to get braces, because they don't really put a lot of emphasis on the mouth. But you could have a devilish smile, and I could be like, that person sounds like she's gonna be too much fun. But if you could see that she's really happy in the photo, like a big beaming smile, her eyes are squinted or her eyes are lit up, and you can't help but just feel happy that you know the person. And I guess knowing another like this again, this goes back to putting others before yourself. Knowing that someone else is happy, I guess, is what makes me happy at the end of the day. I'm a crowd pleaser. I always have been, always will be. I just can't help it. But what was I gonna say? But yes, kind smiles. I swear, every woman that I swiped on today, I judged them solely based on their smiles. I could, their body did play a factor in it, because, I mean, I don't really know much about these people. It's a game. It's a game. You had to forget that these are real people. And you just, she's cute. She's oh, she's cute. She's meh. Oh, definitely no. Oh my gosh, I would love to, like, marry her, sort of thing. But, like, I swear, like, the identifying traits of a smile can change a person from, like, there's a smile for a kind smile, which is weird to think about, because that's just, a phrase, but that's a real thing, a kind smile. There's a sinister smile. There's a fake smile. There's a smile that says, oh my gosh, I want to party all day. And there's a smile that says, I want to sleep at home. And then there's a smile that says that there's nothing else in the world that matters more than me and you. There's a smile for everything. And what complements a smile are the eyes. The eyes and the smile can tell everything that you ever want about a person's personality, I feel like. Judging a book by its cover is often a thing that's frowned upon, but if you don't like a person initially, especially in this situation, you might not like them in the end. Or at least, I remember I had a discussion with my friend Facundo about this, is like, when you start dating someone, you first base them off their looks. You're not like, oh my gosh, they have an amazing personality. No, you base them off their looks. And while you find those looks, what I'm looking for here is a smile. And how well that smile is. I'm not like analyzing it. Like, I know a smile when I see one. I can't really give you like a 40-page essay on ChatGPT in order to figure out what the perfect smile is for everyone. But it's like, you sort of know the smile when you know it, when you see it. I'm just streaming. I'm not streaming. I'm actually recording. Of course, podcast.
Alex, this is what? You want to be on my latest podcast?
We have a surprise guest. We have my roommate Oscar and his younger brother Alex.
Is it just you?
It is just me. It is just. What am I talking about? Well, I talked about my life previously before I came down to college, and then I talked about living in people's heads rent free. Then I talked about how I got Tinder, and then I talked about I did an analysis. Sorry, for lack of a better term, I did an analysis on how much a smile can go like a while.
An old man once told me, whenever you find yourself analyzing other people, the only person you're truly analyzing is yourself.
Exactly, right? I don't know if that came up, but my roommate was talking about. He said an old man once told him, is that what was it you just say? Something about analyzing?
When you find yourself analyzing the people around you, the only person you're really analyzing is yourself.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that caught up on the mic. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. When I was looking at those people on Tinder, I was finding out a lot more about myself than I did previously. Like, I like white girls. That's something.
Yeah.
That's something. Gingers? There's a thing for gingers on that list. Brunettes? There's a thing for brunettes on that list. Blondes? Amen. But one thing I think was trumping all of that was how a person presented themselves, and I felt like I could understand everything about a person. Not from their picture. No, from their face. From their face. Like I swear, I can tell you about anything about a person, or have a good rough estimation of what a person looks like, through their smile and their eyes. Like kind eyes, kind smile. Those are very, very, very real things. No, but that was like the main inspiration for me coming down here and talking with y'all. Like I don't know, I just felt like after I was scrolling down, I mean, I haven't scrolled on that app in a bit, but I was like, dang, I really, 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 really want to put this, like, jot this down and put this up. And I don't have to stay here for long. I mean, it's been 26 minutes of me basically just talking to myself. But that's okay, because that's what the situation has come to. And this isn't like a consistent thing. Like I'm going to release a podcast every week like I used to, but it's going to be a podcast whenever I feel like it. So it's like a little present for everyone. It's like a little treat of an insight of Jared's mind and what he's doing nowadays. I got finals coming up in a week and a half. That's when my last final is. And I don't know if excited would be the word to use for me coming back home. Because obviously I'm excited to see my parents again and to be back in my own bed. But like, I think the one thing that still scares me is we're going to draw ourselves back to the beginning of the podcast and what I talked about 2 episodes ago. I think 2 episodes ago. Let me put that down there. 27 minutes, just about. I'll put a tag to the video that I'm talking about. But it's often scary going back to a place where you can't quite tell if you have fond memories of, or if it's just something that you only like to take the negatives of. It's either like there's no in between. You can't feel one way or the other. Like home is the only place that I felt like I wouldn't say belong would be the correct word to use, but I felt truly appreciated for who I was. Because they didn't care about what happened in school. My parents didn't care. All they cared about was me coming at home and being a good brother to my siblings and doing well in school. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about anything else. Because it didn't matter. It didn't matter. But for everyone else in the school, that's what mattered. They didn't care what happened at home. Because you're a different person when you're out there. And I remember coming back from winter break, and I came back here in my dorm, and I sat in my own bed, and I was like, dang, back home. Like out loud. I said that out loud. I'm back home. And it's weird because I wasn't home. Home was in New York. I was in some hodgepodge place in South Carolina. Hodgepodge place in South Carolina. Miles, hours away from home. Yet that place still felt like home to me. And I think that's when I realized that the thing that I had hung on the thing that my dad hung on our home wall right above our kitchen, where it says a house is not a home without an Aggie. A house is not a home without an Aggie. Yes, a house is not a home without an Aggie. What makes that joke relevant is that, well, my dad graduated from Texas A&M. And, well, they call themselves Aggies, just like we call ourselves Gamecocks down here. Because that's just what we were. But I realized that you could be living anywhere you want. Every place that you go to is a house. But there's a difference between a home and a house. And what often, kids with troubled parents and troubled living environments where, CPS has to get involved, they have their entire definition of the word home flipped on its head. Because they don't have a home. Home is a safe haven where you can express your thoughts and you won't have to feel like you're constantly being pressured to be someone else. A home is not some place that you come to get ridiculed. A home is a place where you come to collect yourself, to be at peace with yourself, and to relieve the pressure of the day. And that's what it felt like coming down here to South Carolina after being back in New York and being back in my hometown. Was when I was down here, I felt like, hey, this is where I belong. I belong down here, which is something that was rarely felt in high school, where I always felt like an outcast. Down here, I mean, I had troubles all 4 years of, actually 3 years of high school, because my junior year was done by COVID. So I didn't really have a true year. I was still trying to find myself, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, being down here in South Carolina, being a freshman in college, I have pretty much gone through this entire year, pretty much smooth sailing almost. Like, no bullying, like no major mess ups, and I'm enjoying myself down here. And that's great, which is something I couldn't really say about being back in high school, where at some points, it seemed like almost every year, I went into school in fear of what people might think of me. Down here, I don't feel like that. Everybody's just going through the exact same thing you are. I think that's the beauty of college. It's because nobody cares. Nobody cares about what happened to you. Because we're all on the same page. We're all going to get through this together. So that's why South Carolina, that's why I'll say I have two homes. A home down here in South Carolina, and a home back up north, where I can go after school. And I think that's wonderful. And I think that's something that I probably will never fully appreciate, but I will appreciate it nonetheless. I think that's wonderful. But yeah, as my year ends down here, it'll be weird going back up, seeing old friends, seeing old enemies, and wonder to myself, was it truly bad up there? I think the answer will still be yes, because I came down here for a reason, and those reasons haven't left New York. So, no, they'll plan on staying in New York. Those reasons will follow me when I'm back in my hometown. Those are things that can't follow me down here. No matter how hard they try, they will never follow me down here. Those problems stay in New York. Those problems happen in New York, and those problems will stay in New York. And it ain't nothing they can do about that. Because I won't let them. I won't let those problems reach me all the way down here. But to go back to how this entire rant went on, I don't know is how I would answer the question on how I felt about going back home. Because the only place where I felt like I truly belonged was in my home. And everywhere else was a reminder of how terrible I was of a person. And the god-awful memory that I left behind there. And the god-awful memory I had of myself. And what I used to be. I guess it's just a past that I like to forget. Because I don't get constantly reminded of my past when I'm down here. The only person that's reminding myself of my past is me. And that's okay. That is A-okay with me. Because that's what therapy is for. That's what therapy is for. But I think I'll end it off there. This concludes the 15th episode of the Speakeasy Dweller podcast. And You'll never know when the next episode comes out. 16th. Who knows when that will come out? Maybe it will come out on 16th of next month. Ooh, who knows? All right, I'll see you guys then. Love y'all.